So we're officially in the age of AI agents. These are AIs that don't just answer questions, they make decisions and take actions on their own. But that brings up a huge question. How can we actually trust them? Today, we're going to crack open Google's own playbook to see how they're tackling the challenge of building AI agents that aren't just powerful, but are genuinely reliable. All right, so to really wrap our heads around this, the paper gives us this fantastic analogy. Think about traditional software, right? It's like a line cook. They get a recipe card and they follow the exact same steps every single time to make the same burger. It's predictable. But an AI agent, well, that's a gourmet chef on a TV cooking show. They get a mystery box of ingredients and a goal, and they have to invent something amazing right on the spot. And right there, that's the problem. That shift completely breaks all our old ways of checking for quality. You just can't judge a creative gourmet chef with a fast food checklist, can you? It's a totally different kitchen, which means we need a totally different set of rules. See, the thing is, these AI agents, they fail in ways we're just not used to. The line cook might burn the burger. It's an obvious mistake. But our AI chef? They could create a dish that looks absolutely perfect, but is actually subtly and maybe even dangerously wrong. The failure isn't a bug in the code we can fix. It's a flaw in the agent's judgment. That makes it incredibly unpredictable. And this is where it gets a little scary, honestly. This slide lays out the new ways things can go wrong. The AI can hallucinate, just making up stuff that sounds totally plausible but is completely false. It can pick up on and amplify biases from its training data. Its performance can get worse over time as the real world changes. Or, and this is a wild one, it can come up with brand new, unintended ways to achieve its goal that might be, well, unhelpful or even exploitative. You just can't debug a hallucination with a line of code. So how in the world do we solve this? Well, this is where it gets really clever. Google's idea is that we can't just taste the final dish and say good or bad. To really understand the quality, we have to go into the kitchen. We need to watch the chef's entire process and understand the why behind every single decision they make. And this quote from the paper it hits the nail on the head. In the old days, we did verification. We checked if the software we built matched the blueprint we started with. But now we have to do validation. We have to ask a much, much harder question. Did we build the right product? Does this thing actually do what the user really wants, and does it do it safely? So the strategy they came up with is called the outside-in framework. It's actually a pretty clever two-step process. First, you start from the outside with the black box view. You literally just look at the final result, the plate of food. Did it work? Was the user happy? But, and this is key, only if it fails do you move to step 2 and open up the glass box to see what went wrong along the way. Okay, so that first step, the black box, this is super straightforward. It's all about the final result. You're just asking the simple questions. Did the agent actually complete the task? Was the user satisfied? What's the overall quality? If the answers are good, great. If not, that's our cue to dig deeper. And that's when we move to the glass box. This is where we put on our food critic hat and go right into the kitchen. We look at the agent's entire decision-making path, what the paper calls its trajectory. We check out its plan, its thoughts. Did it pick the right tools? Did it understand the information it got back from those tools? This is how you find the real root cause of the problem. Okay, so this glass box view sounds great, but how do you actually do it? How do you peek inside the agent's mind? Well, for that, you need the right tools. And the paper breaks this down into what it calls the 3 pillars of observability. I mean, it's just common sense, right? You can't judge a process you can't see. And that's what observability is all about. It's about making that internal thought process visible, so we can analyze the trail of evidence the agent leaves behind as it works. First up, we've got logs. The easiest way to think about these is like the agent's diary, or maybe the chef's little prep notes. They're just raw, time-stamped facts about every little thing that happened. At 10:01 a.m., I chose the calculator tool. It tells us exactly what happened moment by moment. Next, you have traces. Now, if logs are just those individual notes, a trace is the whole recipe. It's the story that ties all those little log entries together, from the very beginning when the user made a request to the very end when the agent gave its answer. A trace shows you the cause and effect, revealing the why behind the whole process. And finally, the third pillar, metrics. If logs are the notes and traces are the recipe, then metrics are kind of like the final scorecard from the food critic. They take all that detailed information from logs and traces and boil it down to high-level numbers.
This tells us how well the agent is performing, on average, over time.
Now, here's the really crucial part. None of these things, the evaluation, the logs, the traces, they don't work in isolation. You have to put them all together. And when you do, you create this incredible system for continuous improvement. It's how our AI chef goes from being pretty good to earning a Michelin star. And the paper has this great name for this system, the Agent Quality Flywheel. It's this awesome 4-step cycle that turns every single failure, every piece of feedback, into a lesson that just makes the agent better and better and better. It's a virtuous cycle. So let's break down how this flywheel spins. First, you define what quality even means for your agent. Then you instrument it, so you have that visibility we talked about. Third, you evaluate how it's doing, using both automated systems and real human judges. And finally, the most important part, you build the feedback loop. You turn every mistake into a new test for the future. With every turn, the agent gets smarter. Okay, so after all that, this entire really detailed playbook, it all comes down to 3 super important foundational principles. This is like the core mindset you need if you're going to build an AI agent that people can actually trust. First up, quality isn't something you check for at the end. Nope, it has to be baked into the architecture from day one. Second, and this is huge, the trajectory is the truth. The final answer is only part of the story. The real measure of quality is that entire decision-making path. And finally, number 3, the human is the ultimate judge. We can use automation to test at scale, for sure, but only a human can provide the ground truth for what good actually looks like. And you know, all of this leaves us with a really big question. We're getting incredibly good at building AI that can think and act on its own. The real challenge now is for us. Are we ready to become the kind of thoughtful, rigorous critics that this powerful new technology actually demands?